You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to explain. You don't need to fight for a seat at a table where you're no longer welcome. The most powerful thing you can do right now, in this moment of hurt, confusion, or betrayal, is nothing. Not out of weakness, not out of fear, but out of such deep, unshakable clarity that action feels unnecessary. Because when you stop reacting, the world starts shifting. When you stop showing up, people start noticing. And when you stop speaking, your silence becomes louder than any argument ever could. This isn't about revenge. This isn't about making them regret. This is about reclaiming your energy, your dignity, and your future, without saying a single word. Let me tell you what really happens when you choose stillness over struggle. 1. Your absence becomes their wake-up call. They didn't leave because you failed them. They left because they failed themselves, and you were just the mirror. People don't hate mirrors. They hate what the mirror shows. When you were always there, answering late-night calls, forgiving the same mistakes, absorbing their chaos, they got comfortable with taking, with disrespect, with your loyalty even when they didn't earn it. The moment you stop showing up, that comfort shatters. It's not dramatic. There's no final fight, no grand exit, just silence. In that silence, they realize you were the stability, you were the consistency, you were the peace. Now it's gone. Not because you took it away, but because they pushed it out the door and didn't notice until it was too late. As Rumi said, goodbyes are only painful if you're lying to yourself. Yours was real until they chose denial. Now the pain isn't from losing you, it's from realizing what they had and what they threw away. 2. They feel the weight before they feel the loss. You don't need to block them, delete them, or unfollow. Just stop feeding the connection. No likes, no views, no reactions, no energy. Slowly, like a tide pulling back from shore, they start to feel the emptiness. They'll post to provoke a response. Nothing. They'll check your profile. No updates. They'll wait for that familiar notification. Crickets. That's when it starts. Not regret, not apology, but awareness. The quiet, creeping sense that something has changed. That the person who was always emotionally available isn't anymore. They'll tell themselves they're just busy, but deep down they know. Your silence isn't empty. It's full of meaning, full of boundaries, full of the peace you chose over their chaos. That's what haunts them. Not your anger or words, but the fact you're finally at peace without them. 3. Your stillness becomes their guilt. Most people expect drama, tears, begging. That's their power. But when you do nothing, when you don't react, don't chase, don't acknowledge their games, their mind turns against them. Now they must face the truth, sit with their choices, answer, did I go too far? Was I the problem? Why don't they care anymore? You didn't make them feel guilty. You stopped absorbing their guilt and handing it back as forgiveness. Now they have to carry it. Guilt left unaddressed becomes a prison. You didn't lock the door, you just stopped holding it open. 4. Time becomes your ally. At first they feel relief. Finally, freedom. But days turn to weeks, weeks to months, and your silence deepens. Relief shifts to doubt, then fear, then regret. Silence held with integrity is undeniable. It doesn't scream or beg, it just is. The longer it lasts, the more real it becomes. They thought you'd come back, thought you'd crack, thought you'd need them. But you didn't. You healed, grew, moved on, without fanfare, announcement, or their approval. That breaks them. Not losing you, but realizing you didn't need them to begin with. Time doesn't heal everything, but it reveals all truths. Yours. You were never the one who needed them. They were the ones who needed you and didn't know it until you left. 5. You become the standard they can't meet. One day they'll meet someone new, someone easier, someone available, and for a moment think it's better. But in the quiet, when lights are off and ego is down, they'll see your face. Remember your calm, your depth, your quiet strength. They'll realize this new person doesn't challenge, inspire, or elevate them the way you did. Not because you tried, but because you were. You weren't perfect, but you were real. Not loud, but steady. Not desperate, but loyal. Until loyalty stopped making sense. Every new person will be measured against you, not because you were flawless, but because you had rare self-respect. No replacement fills that void. You weren't a placeholder. You were the benchmark. Now you're the ghost they can't exorcise. 6. Your glow-up becomes their reckoning. They'll see you on a photo, a story, across a room, and freeze. You're not broken, bitter, or stuck. You're thriving, smiling, working, living, peaceful. It hits them. They thought they broke you, but you broke through. There's no coming back from that. The person they dismissed or took for granted is now impossible to reach. Not because you blocked them, but because you became someone they don't deserve. That's the ultimate power move. Not revenge, not exposure, not confrontation, but evolving so far beyond them they wouldn't recognize you, and you wouldn't want them to. 7. You become the lesson they never saw coming. They'll try to move on, replace you, convince themselves you weren't important. But one day, they'll catch themselves. I wish someone would just show up the way they did. Or, I've never met anyone who could be quiet and still and strong like that. The lesson lands, not from your words or anger, but from your absence. You taught with silence, boundaries, and the courage to walk away without looking back. Now every time they mistreat someone, take someone for granted, or choose chaos over peace, they'll feel it. You became the standard. Now they live with the consequences of losing it. So here's the truth. You don't need to block, beg, or prove your worth. Stop feeding what no longer serves you. Let your silence speak. Let your growth be visible. Let your peace be unshakable. The most powerful revenge isn't retaliation, it's irrelevance. Become someone so whole, grounded, and free that the person who once held power over you can't reach your energy. They'll feel it, see it, regret it. You'll be too far ahead to care. Final thought. There's an old Japanese art called kintsugi, where broken pottery is repaired with gold. The flaw isn't hidden, it's highlighted. The break becomes part of the beauty. You've been broken, left, underestimated, but you're not ruined. You're being remade. The cracks are where the light gets in. Don't rush to fill the silence. Don't chase closure. Don't fight for a place in someone's life who already made their choice. Keep going quietly, powerfully, without needing them to see it, because one day they will, and by then you won't be waiting. If this hit you, don't reply, don't comment. Just live it. Let your silence be your statement. Let your peace be your power,